Jenn, and we are going to be talking about, some great stuff about people of color in tabletop RPGs. Again, my name is Nikki Johnson. I'm the Wig DM on Twitter. You can find me there. And we're running this wonderful charity stream for Make-A-Wish Foundation. So make sure to donate there. And I'll go ahead and let these lovely ladies introduce themselves, starting with April.
Hi, everyone. I'm April. I am a cast member of Flipping the Table. It's my birthday today, so you guys have to donate.
Happy birthday.
Like, if you don't donate, if we don't make more money today, like, I'm just going to be really sad because you have to. It's my birthday. So donate. That's all I wanted to say was donate.
Donate for your birthday.
Yes. Donate for my birthday, but to save children.
And to save children. But
And
mostly because it's April's birthday.
I mean, that's...
It's your birthday in June.
Yeah, I know.
I was born in April. Hey, it works out.
I mean, June birthdays are kind of better. Anyway, and then we also have Jenn.
Hello, I'm Jenn De La Vega. I play Vivian Lakewood on Fun City, which is a Shadowrun narrative play podcast recorded in Brooklyn. So hello. It is not my birthday.
That's okay. We're still
everyone's
happy to
birthday.
have you here. We can still celebrate everybody here being here today. Happy Juneteenth.
Yes,
Happy
Juneteenth.
I love that my birthday is on Juneteenth.
It's a national holiday now. It's
I know.
Really great. Anyway, so I absolutely forgot what I was going to talk about because I looked at my points and then I completely forgot. But yeah, we're going to just have a round table conversation about being a person of color in the tabletop community, some of our experiences, some of the news that's currently been coming up, and just, a bunch of cool ladies palling around.
Yeah,
hopefully it doesn't get too serious, but as we all know, this is a semi-serious topic. But before we get too serious, why don't we just go ahead and talk about when we started playing tabletop RPG, like how long it's been, and maybe your favorite system that you've run in, or even like your favorite character that you've played. I know, Jenn, you're talking about the character that you play in Shadowrun. So, Jenn, why don't you start us off? How long have you been playing?
I'm relatively new to tabletop role playing. I've only been playing for about a year and some months. I met my GM, Mike Ragnetta, through an artist residency in Greenpoint. And like months later, he emailed me and said, "How would you feel about doing crime and potentially being evil and maybe a little expensive?" And I was like, "Ooh, expensive." And I'm only really familiar with Shadowrun, so I've never played D&D. We've played maybe a couple one-shots as bonus content, and right now, we just announced it, we're doing a small campaign for Stillfleet, which is not yet out. That was written by Wythe Marshall, and it's set in space.
Nice!
Yeah!
Space games!
That's so cool!
100 million years in the future!
That's so cool.
What's going on?
Yeah, it's kind of weird to be a human, and that's the point.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I've had to like remember that I'm a bug person with 8 arms. And yeah. So I'm really new to it. I didn't know exactly how to prepare. I over prepare with like lots of notes like on paper, and like I have a spreadsheet that Mike calls a novella. Because the reason why I've had to over prepare is that I have 2 comedians on the podcast with me. And it's like they are able to just yes and like be able to like say stuff, and whenever anyone confronts me in real time, I'm like, I need a moment, I'm looking at my sandals. Yes, I had an idea. Yes.
There it is. That's where I wanted to go with that.
If it makes you feel any better, I have on my phone a document of quips.
Oh, yes.
Like every time I think of a good one, I'm like, I might need that for a fight later.
That's a tab on my spreadsheet.
Yeah, I literally have like sections. I'm like, for this character, if they ever anger me, I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
Well, April, why don't you go ahead and tell us how long you've been doing tabletop games?
Oh,
favorite system, favorite just story? Let's go. Let's do this.
So I started playing tabletop in middle school and hated it.
Oh no.
I hated everything about it, and I think I just had a really bad group. I hated the boys I was playing with, and they made it miserable. So I did not touch it again. So that was like middle school. So like fast forward 10, 15 years later, and a friend of mine's like, hey, do you want to be a vampire? I'm like, wait, what?
Yes, of course, always.
And the funny thing is he's like, we had the perfect class for you. It's called Ventru. You get to be like overpowered and mean and rude to everyone else.
Hell yeah.
And get a lot of money and have power. I'm like, how do I sign up for this? So World of Darkness is what got me back into tabletops and playing Vampire the Masquerade. So Vampire is probably my favorite system, and like any World of Darkness system, like I'm playing Mage now with some friends on the side, and I just love it so much.
Oh, I'm gonna have so many terms to Google after this.
Yes.
Oh my god, I will run a vampire game for you if you say the word.
I want to
We will
run a
play
vampire game. I wanted to be in that game, but I could not, unfortunately.
I know. Oh man, it was. We can't talk about it.
We can't. We'll go on for a while.
Yeah. So now I play a lot of D&D, and I love D&D, and I found some really great friends and people in the community, and it got me back into everything.
Yeah, group chemistry is so important.
Oh yeah, I learned that it wasn't tabletop I hated. It was people.
Yeah. Sometimes you find a group and you're like, this is the best group. You jive. You've been playing for a couple of years, and then you meet another group and you're like, I don't ever want to see these people again in my life.
Like we were literally doing the same thing, but
I have been doing tabletop for when did I move out of 2013? So 7 years. There we go. I can math. Well, technically it would have been like 2012, like December 2012, 2013. Anyway, semantics. I moved out of my parents' house into my first like roommate situation in this house in like the heart of Atlanta, and I woke up one evening from a nap. And I walk outside. It's 9 p.m. And I see a bunch of dudes around the table screaming about catnip and laser light shows, and I was just like, what are you guys doing? And they were actually playing Pathfinder, because I think that that the first edition they were doing that because it was close enough to like 3.5 D&D. So they were already like kind of more than halfway over with that game, but I was just like, I live here. I should probably play. And I made a level 7 druid as my first character ever.
That is complicated. There's so many rules. I'm playing Pathfinder too. I mean, I'm playing Pathfinder right now, but it's so crunchy. And you played a druid?
And I played a druid, and I definitely was. I had so many handicaps. Because I was like, I don't really know how my spells really work, and I like looking them up is also like a whole ass thing. I had a bunch of cards, like handwritten like note cards that I kept all that information on, and then I had like a special note card for my animal companion. His name was Wolfface, because I was raised by wolves. I was a Disney princess gnome raised by wolves. Like that was my whole character.
Disney princess raised by wolves.
She was wearing like this tattered, like dirty pink frilly dress and covered in leaves. She was great. Yeah, I was like, you know what? Thankfully, I'm a theater major, so I can just kind of like theater my way through a lot of these situations. I turned into an animal like all the time. Like all I wanted to do was just be a dinosaur. Like that's just like my character's like, I'm a dinosaur now. Like any situation, I'm a dinosaur.
That helps also get through roleplay. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm a dinosaur now, and I bite you in the head.
I'm a dinosaur now. And that character eventually became evil, and I was like, okay, so imagine, if you will, a young girl who really likes horses and pink suddenly finds out about Hot Topic. That's kind of what the transition was.
So
for my character.
Sounds like me.
So a lot of us
Yeah.
What you're saying is your character was just us.
Yeah.
Pretty much, exactly. Except I've reverted back, and I'm just kind of like a weird mixture of the two, except with all the leaves in my hair.
Also, I want to pause for just 1 second. I'm sorry.
How dare you?
We hit our second goal.
Oh, dang. We made
really?
the goal. We didn't even
I didn't want to interrupt you, but we were getting a bunch of donations. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
I'm trying to go through the chat. Julia, thank you. You're amazing.
Is there a Nate also?
Nate. Yeah. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, everyone who donated. We love you. And thank you for supporting the Children's Miracle Network of Georgia.
What was the goal?
I do not know. Also, thank you, Nick. 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 Notable.
1,200. We did it.
We did it.
Yes, still donate. Just because we have a goal does not mean we're suddenly going to have another. Oh, we have another goal. So yeah,
great.
It's 1,500 now.
1,500 now. Yes.
And I think
let's do it. We can do it.
It's my birthday. Donate.
It's April's birthday.
Donate.
You better donate.
Oh my God.
Whoa, so 29 people are watching now. Just jumped up by 10.
I'm so excited. Hi, everybody. I should have tweeted about it. I'm such a goober. How dare I?
If you are just tuning in, we are raising money for the Children's Miracle Network of Georgia. Or no, Make-A-Wish Georgia. I can't read.
How dare you?
I can read. I have like too many things going on my one screen, okay? I don't have a computer.
Yeah, we're just the conversation right now is just lovely women of color talking about their experiences in tabletop RPG. So thank you for coming and hanging out with us, and keep on donating. As I keep regaling about thanks, Abe.
Abe, did someone say Nikki would dab for donations?
I would absolutely dab for donations. You think I'm not cool enough to dab for donations? You're wrong.
I'm so glad you're here. I'll donate way more for dabs. Oh God, Evan, don't make us dab.
I'll do it.
I think it's funny that you mentioned cards, because I picked up my notebook and one of my spell cards.
Nice
spell cards.
Yeah, I wrote like everything my spell does on here, and because I know this is when Justice, one of our friends, was DMing, and I put the page number so he couldn't try to get on me and say I was lying.
Wow.
But as far as my favorite system, I still really like D&D 5th edition. I've yet to play much of any of the other systems, but the only reason I really like D&D 5th edition is because I really used to run with the group that held a lot of like one-shot jump in games, and I just think D&D 5th edition is very good for just jump in, here's a character sheet, we're gonna learn how the game goes. I've kind of developed a like teaching people how to play D&D play style, which every now and again I have to break out of when I'm with people that already know how to play D&D, and I don't have to be like, oh, by the way, did you add blah blah blah? And they're like, yes, Nikki, I've been playing for 20 years.
I will
Calm
need
down.
The first time that I play D&D, I will need that. Thank you.
I will absolutely help you out. We will
roll for you. Also, like, I'm glad Nikki mentioned that drop in and out group, because Nikki is the one who got me back, helped encourage me to get back into D&D.
Yay.
She's one of the people that I played with like one time, and I'm like, I want to play this game all the time now.
Yay! I'm so glad. That's why I do what I do, so that people will keep playing, because one, I don't see enough people of color in D&D, and two, I don't see enough women in D&D. Even though we definitely did an event last year that kind of got canceled this year, Ladies Night, which had so many women show up for D&D. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow, same time here at Critical Bits. We'll be doing this again, and we'll be talking about women in RPGs. So, but moving on to the next topic, because we do have a time constriction. So because we are talking about people of color in tabletops, how do either of you feel like you bring not only diversity to the table, but bring diversity into the characters that you play, or into the world that your dungeon master builds, or if you are like building a game, how do you make that world feel more inclusive to people of color? Not just like, I had a bunch of orcs and elves and dwarves, but like, this guy has dreadlocks. In fact, all of these people have dreadlocks. And just starting with April this time. Yeah, April first.
So for a lot of the one, I only really run one shots when I run games. I tend to choose character types that are usually seen as more like the vicious and monstrous races, and use them in other ways. Like my favorite one shot, like jumping in and out, I wrote the most of my bad guys are humans. And like it's the goblins and orcs that you have to work with, because for some reason people still kind of see them as bad, and like every goblin and every person I played with who's played a goblin has been a really good person.
Hey.
And like hey, yeah, and I don't know, and like if they're playable, I feel like we shouldn't treat them as evil, and it always bugged me. And like now whenever I get into a game, I tend to like pay more attention to what other people are playing and like how they are playing those characters. And like my favorite character ever played was a demonic tiefling necromancer.
Ooh, that's a good phrase.
And like her
demonic tiefling necromancer.
Blood red skin, black horns, black hair, bright blood red eyes. She had a werewolf skeleton following her around.
Oh, that's such an aesthetic.
She like picked flowers and like also healed people, and everyone just like was always so mean. I'm like, just because she's super sweet.
Yeah.
She literally baked cookies.
Yeah, I have taken out of my narrative that like somebody is going to see your race or whatever your your like the horns or the orc teeth or even elves too. Like someone just sees you and is like, oh, I don't associate, and I'm just like, that's stupid. I know that exists in the real world, but I don't want that in my I don't want that in my freaking fantasy games. No, we don't.
But also, like right now, close one. Yeah, it didn't happen. I have no idea what you're talking about.
We said fudge. We said the word fudge.
Fudge-sicles.
Fudge-sicles.
Like, right now, we're writing for the next season of Flipping the Table, and I decided to be a tiefling because I just love tieflings. And like I've been talking with Gabe, our DM, about there's not going to be any of that. Tieflings are already evil. We're making all the races like there's not an evil race. There's no like demonic or reason for that in our fantasy world. There's enough problems in our fantasy world that does not need to be on the list.
Like we already got dragons and evil sorcerers trying to take over the world, liches. Like we don't need race coding in here.
Yeah, like we already got like the rich versus poor going on. I don't need to add the rich versus poor versus orcs versus tieflings versus dwarves. No, we're all down to take out the like man.
Yes, take out the man, punch up. Jen, how about you?
So we don't have, we're trying to work to eliminate some of those character stats, that are in the Shadowrun character creation, like points are assigned to like certain things. Like elves are supposed to be more charismatic, but I min-maxed Vivian, so she is less charismatic than usual.
That's awesome.
When people, she's an elf, so you approach her, you think you're going to be like regaled, and she's just like, no. No. But yeah, we don't really have that kind of race coding in our game. It's set in 2101 New York City underwater. Or New York City is underwater. We are not underwater.
So there's underwater game.
Lots of boats. So we don't have evil races, but we have evil corporations. So they're doing that work of evil for us. Nice. But for me personally, at the table, I'm playing an 145-year-old elf. So there's a lot of language around movement and like being tired. And, not stereotyping like the older generations, but showing how capable she is. Like she is the mage. She's like a water elemental, and everyone on the team is afraid of her and and knows that she can like destroy you by looking at you.
Oh my God.
So
you mentioned in the message chat something, and if you want to talk about it now, I would love to know more about
Yeah.
that.
I didn't know that this wasn't across all games. I kind of just assumed, this is my first time playing, so the phrase "geek the mage," which is attack the mage first.
Yeah.
Do we have that in other games?
I mean, that happens a lot in like
Go for the squishy people.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
In many RPGs, unless you make your mage character just really strong and buff and able to like withstand hits, usually magic users are very squishy.
Squishy. Yeah.
And, but they're powerful, so you're like, okay, if we can just gank up on the mage, beat him down, then they can't do their cool magic stuff that'll hit all of us and everything. But I mean that happens in video games too, like World of Warcraft and all that stuff. But
so in my experience, every battle I've gone into, I am the first person attacked, and I am the woman of color in the group, and it is just tiring.
Yeah.
You know, like one battle that we just walked into, like didn't know we were being attacked yet, and somebody cast a riot in my mind because because mages use willpower and brains to like make things happen. So it's been like a lot to deal with being the first one always attacked. Like I always have to be at the ready, and it's just like, I mean, yeah, that's how the games are built. Like these wizards are like stacked in one area, but like squishy, as you say, like not bodily strong. And so I've taken the character to being like, I gave her an outfit change because she's not obviously wearing flowy robes anymore. And she has like an axe strapped to her back, so that looks like the first thing you should worry about. But she shouldn't have had to do that if we were really playing on some kind of even ground and experiencing a battle like randomly with a group of people who doesn't know who we are. But I would say that my GM has done a really good job of researching and making sure that we're comfortable at the table. Like we employ the X card.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I love the X card.
Yeah, the X card, for those of you who don't know, we have a physical card, there you go, that we put in the middle of the table, and we can touch it and say like, hey, this is making me uncomfortable. This is a no-go zone. Let's back up, reset the scene. So we, as a podcast that is meant for recording, we have that luxury of like rewinding and like being able to record things over. But in a non-recorded home situation, it can get a little awkward. But it's great that we have had that like baseline conversation, like, we're here for you, like we support you, we will back up if you touch the card.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love the X card. I even tell people like, you don't have to even like touch the card. You could also just message me like, please move this along, or I'm uncomfortable with this, and I'm always just like, oh yep, and we move. Because that's my number one goal whenever I run games or when I'm playing with other people, is to just like be very conscious of their boundaries on certain things. Like playing a one shot with people that I'm probably never going to meet again is a little harder to gauge. Playing in campaigns with people where we actually get the opportunity to like go over like lines and veils and things like that. Like these are some things that I like can be mentioned, but I'd rather not actually deal with it. And these are things that if I hear about it, I'm leaving. It's just like, cool.
We had to do like a agreement before we started.
I totally love the lines and veils. Oh shit, cat. Sorry.
We're gonna get demonetized, April. Oh, no, cussing.
It was the reaction. I didn't mean to.
I didn't hear it. What are you talking about?
No, yeah, she said Snapple. She said Snap.
Oh, Snapple. The cat's name is
Chips.
Shih Tzu.
Yeah.
Oh, Shih Tzu.
Shiitake.
Shiitake. His name's Shiitake. Sorry. Continue. I didn't mean.
No, you're fine.
He tried to jump onto the tablet.
But I think all groups should talk about like not just like their expectations for the game. Like, I want to play this character and I have a quest that I would like to establish in the world that we're building, but also like, hey, I'm not okay with these certain things. I never actually I never realized how much I needed to actually say this in games before, until like I started a new campaign that's pretty much all online. But I did have to be like, hey, no racial strife, no, like I would just really appreciate not having to deal with like someone saying like, I think orcs are filthy, dirty, bloodthirsty animals. And it's like, I can't play in games like that anymore, where just like people have just like the DMs make that. Like, it's one thing when you're like, oh yeah, Gregory's a terrible person, and we don't hang out with him anymore. I had to stop myself from saying something else. But when it's like a specific group, or excuse me, a specific person, or like a group that is like, they have the same moral ideas, but it's not specifically one race, that baseline is bad. Like, I much prefer that. But yeah, also I'm so sorry that you are the only person of color at your table. I've also been that way as well.
Woman, I'm the only woman of color. Yeah,
you're the only woman of color. Excuse me.
I think we're all used to being the only woman or only person of color on the table.
Yeah, most of the time it's not that big of a deal, but I've definitely like had moments at tables where I like say something and I'm like, oh yeah, none of y'all are black. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
We had on my podcast, Bijan Steven is also a person of color, and we got into the race dialogue about orcs, and he and I were just getting real huffy, and we were just like, pay us. Like, in conclusion, pay us. Like,
pay us.
I don't have to do this work anymore for you. Like, yes. Pay us.
Yeah.
Oh man, speaking of, now I get to talk about the thing that happened to me.
Here we go.
Literally like 2 hours before we started the stream.
God.
Which we actually do want to talk about this. I hope people have heard about it. If you're listening to this, you probably are in the know about most of the stuff going on in tabletop RPG, specifically Wizards of the Coast. They recently released a press article about how they are going forward, removing a lot of the race coding and a lot of the lore with a bunch of different races, how they're going to try and start taking away the set abilities for certain races, and you being much more able to like kind of customize how your character is. Like, it doesn't matter what race they are, like pretty much it's more about where the story of them and like how those abilities would kind of come up organically in story, rather than just, oh, you're a dwarf, so you have these things, or you're an orc, you have these things, and taking away a lot of some kind of like not super great racial abilities that some other ones have. But so we wanted to talk about that today. I sent these points to the ladies and everybody, and then 30 minutes later I get a message from a guy who I've talked to before. We were supposed to do D&D stuff before COVID kind of hit and everything, and but like hadn't really done that much, not enough for him to send me that article and then ask me, hey, we have a script that has hold on, let me just read it.
Man.
Read it.
Oh man.
In one of our scripts for the campaign, we have dialogue suggesting full-blooded orcs are rampaging monsters. Is this something we should change because of Wizards of the Coast suggestion? And it took me a while to respond, where I just said yes, because I just didn't have the time.
No energy for this.
I had no energy because I was trying to do all of this, but I was just like, you sent me the link to this article.
Did you not read it?
I was like, yeah, did you not read it? But I think the biggest thing was like, do you not have sensitivity readers on your staff, or the people that write the script? Mm-hmm. Do you not have other people of color like on your show or writing this, that they couldn't have put some input into this? You had to come to me, someone who like I have kind of no
stranger.
Yeah, not a stranger, like an acquaintance, but still like I'm not getting paid for this. I am not on the show. I have no affiliation really with this.
Yes.
So I'm just like, if you want me to be a sensitivity reader for your script, pay me.
Pay her.
Hey,
Pay her.
I'm really glad you sent that to us beforehand, because my
Yes.
reaction was not able to be broadcast.
Yeah.
When I
Mine
read
too.
it.
I was just silent for 30 minutes as I looked at that, sent it to you, and then like, okay, all right.
Mm.
It's another thing. Like, don't. Hey, unless they are affiliated with your association or you are paying them, please don't ask people of color to weigh in on that. Do better.
That's such a burden.
It's like, it's
And
so much.
Well, also it was like right there, like literally.
Yeah,
the answer was right there.
You didn't even have to read the article. Like the answer's kind of in the headline.
Yeah.
Like it's just like they're no longer evil monsters.
Yeah.
He didn't even have to read through the thing.
Yeah. And also, like, that's the other thing is like, if you
Literal
felt
bare minimum.
yeah, like if you felt like you had to come to me to ask me if that's something that should be removed, just remove it. Like if like anything in your D&D, in your tabletop, in your story, whatever it is, if you had a moment that said, would this offend somebody? Should I check with somebody else? Just go ahead and remove it.
Yeah.
Come back to it later.
Yeah, remove it.
Like, but don't put that burden on people of color or women or LGBT, whatever that is.
Favorite things is when one of my friends or one of my DMs, not anyone currently, just throwing that out there in case anyone's watching, not the flipping the table guys, not any of my friend DMs now, come to me like, does this offend you? Wait, what?
Why are you asking me?
Like,
what?
Like, if it's offensive, it's not about you, but I just want to know if it offends you. I'm like, so are you? I don't know how to take that.
My sensitivity radar.
Like,
oh my god.
I didn't know I was a gauge for all Koreans in the world. They're like, well, it's for all. I'm like, no, I'm Korean. Like, I don't get to judge that.
Yeah. Like,
also, why do you think I'm? And it's always really offensive, and I'm like, yes, it offends me. They're like, will it offend other people? Like, what?
Yeah.
If you have to ask that, then don't put it in there.
Also, like, if I'm one of your players and it offends me, like, why are you still gonna?
Why are you still showing? Yeah. What is this?
Bless you. At least you kind of got some warning about that. One of my DMs who I love very much, and I'll happily play again with him because he writes very good world building, and he's usually very, very diverse. Except when we found, so I found out that my character was the lost princess of this like underground civilization, and I was kind of really excited about it. Until we kind of found out slowly that this group was very kind of territorial and a little tyrannical.
Oh.
And then we get to the town and find out they have slavery.
No.
And
oh no.
I am the only person of color in this group.
No slavery.
Also the only
friends.
Black
None.
person. And I ran with it. But I definitely messaged the DM later. I was like,
it's so hard in the moment. It's so hard.
and you could tell he was trying not to make it like blatantly overt, but people are like, they have like chain like bands on them that signify that they are slaves. Like they're like, they're working and they're talking together and you can see that there's a civilization. I'm like, but they still slaves.
Gosh.
Don't matter how
they leave
happy
when
they
want.
Exactly. There's an obvious like people that kind of rule over them, and there's an even like bigger like group that rules over them. And I was just like, why did you do that to my character?
No.
Like, thank you for giving me the princess arc. I love that. But it didn't have to include slavery.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah. My God.
I'm really grateful. Like my GM Mike is very sensitive and does a lot of a hilarious amount of research. Yes, he should be afraid as a white man to like write.
Yes, you should be afraid.
You should be afraid. But he's done such a great job, like adding diverse bodies. We have very tall people, like somebody who has hands as big as like trash cans, but they're very gentle. And like this one character, he has like a Bavarian little town that he builds with his big hands. Like,
oh, I love it.
I
So
love
good.
I love that character already.
Yes, he's amazing. We have varying levels of ability also. We have a very, very capable Oracle who is in a wheelchair. We have lots of cybernetics, people with, one arm. And just other characters at the table. We have a technomancer. This is very specific to Shadowrun. It is different from a hacker, where hackers use devices to break into things, but a technomancer does it with their brain.
Yeah. Oh, I have a character in Shadowrun that was a technomancer, but I've shifted him to the guy with cards.
It's really funny that we have you, because Nikki and I are about to start a Shadowrun game next weekend. Next Saturday, or no, tomorrow?
Not tomorrow. Tomorrow is still more character building.
Next weekend we start Shadowrun, and I've never played it, and I'm playing a technomancer.
I would say character building is probably the most difficult part. So
there's a lot.
Yes, there's a lot of pieces. But so Shannon Odell, who is one of the comedians on our podcast, plays a technomancer, but she really downplays the techno part of it. She is a large orc, but a gymnast. So she's very like alive and physically talented. So we also just didn't know going in all of these stereotypes about each of the character classes. And so when that article came out, she and I were a little clueless, like, what do you mean? And we happened to build our characters, outside of that. So that was a relief.
That's beautiful. That's
yeah,
nice.
this is very, very wonderful. And like a couple episodes ago, we had a Native American character. Mike did all of his research. He even emailed the tribal council of like the Lenape people, which was so cool. They didn't respond to us.
They're like, what is this?
They're busy with other things.
Fair. Very fair.
They're busy with other things, but I love that he took those steps and then ultimately decided not to put in some things, because it was that question, like, may this offend people? And he took that step back and was like, you know what? It's not worth, causing strife.
Yeah.
So that was such a good move. And I'm like grateful I have like a pretty solid white allies.
I know we're talking about people of color, but I love my white allies. I have friends who are like, so when Corona started, I like the first time after quarantine, I went to Target and someone told me to go back to my home country.
Woo!
In Atlanta, like in downtown Atlanta. And I was like, I was so confused, and I was talking to my friends, and one of my friends who's like 6'3", I don't know how tall he is, covered in tattoos, works out all the time. Nikki knows him. He's like, call me, I will go to the store with you. I'm like, okay, cool.
I mean, shoot, you could have called me. I would have come to the store with you. I would throw hands. Oh my God.
Then I would have, I can't bail both of us out of jail, Nikki.
Look, I'm an archfey. They would never know what happened. It's fine. It's cool.
But like, it's happening to a lot of Asians right now. And I was talking to someone about a game and online, and they're like, we're going to do a pandemic style game. They're like, talking about this. He's like, would it be okay if the characters were Asian? I'm like, oh, nope, we're done.
No,
right. delete, unfollow. I'm done. I don't even want to finish this conversation.
Oh my God.
And he's like, it's like, it wouldn't be. I'm like, no, I don't even care to finish this.
Yeah. Like, no, thank you. Oh my God.
Going back to like how we were mentioning like power and like power structures, and there's something about Shadowrun where all mages, so there's mages and adepts. So adepts don't have the full-blown like magic skill. They can fight and it's enhanced by it, but it's called being awakened. And I kind of love that being woke is powerful in Shadowrun. Just the thought of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I am writing that down.
Yes.
Must get woke in Shadowrun.
Yeah, the awakened class are magic practitioners, and it's magic to be awake. It's cool.
Get woke, get magic.
Yes.
That needs to be on like
It won't get magic.
Oh
All
my
right.
god. Whoever makes that shirt, I'm gonna buy it.
I will buy that shirt.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Someone I don't critical bits. I don't know if you guys want to make the shirt. I will go make it on FTT. I don't care.
At least a
Woke,
sticker
get
on
magic.
Twitch. We gotta have at least a Twitch sticker.
Oh yeah.
Get woke, get magic. I love that. It's very good.
Yes.
Because if you're not woke, then you get to be a basic fighter.
No, you just get level 1. You don't even get basic stats.
You don't even get basic stats. You're just a farmer. Just
Yeah.
a peasant.
Just a peasant.
You woke, get magic, broke, be peasant. Oh my god. If you're broke, you actually become an NPC. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh man, I wanted to talk about some other things, but I got distracted by anger. Rightfully placed anger.
Easily this part of, in this moment.
Yes. Sometimes that happens in game too, where I'm like, whew, yeah. Actually,
real quick, also thank you for all the yikes donations.
Yikes donations.
Yikes donations.
And everyone else who's donated so far. Another
Yes.
one of the shout outs to the donations.
I can't see the Twitch chat right now, so I don't know what's going on.
Well, apparently my story made the stream go down and then it went back up. So I don't know why everyone left when I told that story, but there might be a reason and you should think about it.
Yeah.
If that story offended you, there's a problem.
Yes, exactly. Think about it, internalize it, realize something about yourself, and get woke, because you'll get magic. Anyway. But yeah, what?
Sorry. The chat says they're leaving to go punch racists.
That's a great.
That's a very good.
I forgive that. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm cool with
Thanks.
that. I mean, but also Twitch is on your phone.
Twitch is on your phone.
True.
You can play Twitch while you are punching.
While you're punching with the other hand.
in
Yeah.
their glass
Just like
jaws.
play back the story. This is why I'm punching you.
This is why I'm punching you. Wear your mask. Don't
Wear
tell
your
people
mask.
to go back home.
No. Well, I mean, go home. Don't leave your house. It's quarantine.
And that one, yes.
Yeah, don't
Excuse
leave
me,
your
yes.
house. Oh.
Don't leave your house because it's quarantine, but don't go to somebody of color and be like, go back to your home country.
No. But if you are gonna, yes, critical
here, what are you
Bitscast, if
talking
you
about?
are gonna punch racist, wear a mask.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, yeah, wear a mask on your fist too. You don't want to catch anything. Wear
No.
gloves. Wear gloves. That's what you're supposed to do when you're punching people.
And use hand sanitizer. This took a weird.
Okay,
Yeah.
dip your hand in
Not-
a hand sanitizer and then punch
then
a
punch.
racist.
And then you'll clean you both. Oh,
You're
God.
doing
This
radiant
is-
damage. You're doing.
Not that we
Welcome to the
condone-
pharmacy.
Hold on,
Let's
pause.
go.
Not that we condone violence on anyone.
No.
This
no,
is
we do
all
not.
hypothetical.
No.
Everyone love thy neighbor. Is that the
Yes.
thing?
Everyone love thy neighbor. Everyone looked for a compromise, but also races are terrible.
Spiritual punching. Yes.
And Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
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 And donate to save some
On
children.
Juneteenth.
On
On
Juneteenth,
Juneteenth.
Black Lives Matter. Donate
On
to charity to help children. This is all very important. I said that on the stream, like first person to say that on our stream, and no one else said it as well. And I was just like, really, y'all? Not gonna. Okay.
I mean, they could at least jump in on it. Like Black
Yeah,
Lives Matter.
coulda.
Yeah, it does. It
The
does.
thing is, the thing is, again, because we're getting close to time, so I don't want to take up too much, so we can wrap up soon. I'm the only person of color on that stream, and I can completely understand why they might have felt like not able to do so. But I wish they would have talked to me about it first. 'Cause I did ask them before we went on stream. I was like, by the way, I'm going to do this. Y'all cool? But no one was like, can I say it? And I would have been like, yes, please say it.
Everyone is allowed to say Black Lives Matter.
Everyone is allowed to say Black Lives Matter. But that is where we're going to start doing the wrap up here. Any last final thoughts from our lovely ladies? Jenn, anything? We're not doing the outros yet. Just like any final thoughts?
Oh yeah. We had an interesting conversation about fan art with my podcast. Because it's a podcast, you're listening to it. We didn't explicitly say what skin colors people were, and we shouldn't have to. But there were a few of us that were drawn a little, when we saw it, when we solicit fan art from people, it's like, oh, that's what you think I look like.
Oh man.
Interesting.
Blonde.
And when they get to know us and see us on Twitter and our avatars and like our faces, they're like, oh, why didn't you say? And I'm like, I shouldn't have to say.
Yeah, that's not my job.
What I look like. But if you're gonna do fan art, maybe do a little bit more research, do your due diligence,
Yes.
And get to know the characters and the people playing them.
Yep.
And it's not to say that we have to one-to-one match to everything our fictional character is supposed to look like, but it's a consideration, a sensitivity thing to look out for if you are a person who does make fan art.
Yeah. Like I always like to describe my characters as having she's black. They're black. They got dreadlocks. Their hair is a kinky curly, not like just a beautiful wave. Like, no, it's a whole fro. It's a big old mess up there, but God, they love it, and it's great, and they look like a dandelion, because if I brush out my hair right now, it's just gonna look like a big old like.
I love it. I love when you do that.
It's contained right now. I got to keep that power within. But yes, fan art. Thankfully, I'm not famous enough to have people do fan art of any of my characters. Thank goodness. But except for my goblin, if y'all want to do fan art of Scuzz, hey. Y'all want to do fan art of Scuzz? He's just a gross little butter goblin. The sweet boy.
Did you say butter goblin?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is canonically, like, at some point or another covered in butter. You don't know how he got it. You don't know why it's on him. You're pretty sure he took a bath earlier, but I guess
he's always got butter on him.
Yep. Donate for Scuzz.
So
Scuzz is best goblin.
I'm a chef outside of this, and so whenever we talk about food on the podcast, like I geek out about it. I'm like, I'm gonna write a recipe so our listeners can like actually make it.
That's amazing.
If you want to make Scuzz's pocket surprise, that is also a canonical thing where it's gross. It's gross.
We can make a tasty version.
You can make a tasty version, like. So there's just a very funny like anecdote. Every time like Scuzz pulls something out of his pocket to eat, it is covered in other things that also got shoved into his pocket. So I'm imagining when I first described it, it was like there's butter and brownie bits and bacon and like lint and a piece of chicken, just a variety of things. But now I'm like, yeah, of course, like there should absolutely be like a. We could talk about it later because we're running out of time.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We'll make a recipe for
hell yeah, pocket surprise.
Scuzz's pocket surprise.
I'm into it.
Yeah. She describes it differently every single time.
That's because it's always different food.
And I love it.
Oh, that's so good.
April, any last thoughts from you?
No, I have a funny story, but I don't think we have enough time for it.
That's okay. We can talk about it later.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
After the stream is over, when we don't have to worry about swearing.
Yeah. But definitely, if you're a DM, think about your players and how we are seen in the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
And stop making me describe what race my character is.
Yes.
Wow.
Like, is your character Asian too? I'm like,
why? For the record, Viv is an old Filipino grandmother.
I mean, a lot of my characters are I like to make little old Korean women.
Yes.
I got a lot of material for little old Korean women, so I kind of go with that. So
I love it. That's very good. But yeah, that is all the time we have for this. Remember to keep hanging out, keep donating to Make-A-Wish at Georgia here on Critical Bits. It's also being streamed on Flipping the Table if that is your channel of preference. Me. Yeah, that's you. And go ahead, ladies, starting with April, to go ahead and just plug yourself. What are you doing? What projects you got going on?
Hi. Or goodbye, everyone. I'm April. Yes. I'm a cast member of Flipping the Table. We are working. They're about to start. I guess we are about to start the War of the Eight. I am not part of that, but we are working on our next season of Vagria, and I have so many cool things. I'm redoing tieflings for our worlds. Yes. I'm so excited.
I'm gonna fix tieflings.
I don't know if I would have fixed them.
Give it a try.
Also, it's my birthday, and you should donate. If you don't donate, you are a really bad person and mean, because why wouldn't you donate to Make-A-Wish Georgia on my birthday, like when it's like a thing? But if you don't have money, like, follow, share, talk to people about helping children, talk to people about people of color, just talk to people.
Yeah. Jenn?
Yeah, I'm going to put my show link in the chat. We are Fun
Yes.
City. We are a Shadowrun narrative play podcast recorded in Brooklyn. Our show is set in 2101 New York City. I play Vivian on that show, but I'm also a chef who is currently out of work.
Oh, no.
All of my weddings have been pushed to next year. I'm a wedding caterer. And so I have a Patreon that I started. It is my username here, Randwiches. You can follow me on all social, and that's my Patreon. And yeah, I have a lot of adventures online. I also guested on Critical Bits when we played Brandon Leon Gambetta's Pasión de las Pasiones. So the telenovela one shot.
That one was so good. I didn't want to talk about it, but it was so good. It's
so if you look in the archive here on this channel, you can see mine. I think the title is The Drummer Girl for Rue's character, but I had a great time. You should check it out. It was really fun. Nice to meet you all. Also, share this conversation after it's done recording here on Twitch, because I think we've said a lot of things that GMs and DMs are going to benefit from, especially from the X card and how to talk to your players. This is such a valuable conversation, not just for the charity stream. So this is a resource for you.
Yes. And I'm Nikki Johnson. I am the Wig DM again on Twitter. I run with Final Show Films on Thursdays. We're currently doing a Grand Terra game. That is where you can see my Goblin Scuzz. He's a sweet boy. He's got a beanie hat and a poncho. And otherwise, I just play games. I sometimes stream with Flipping the Table. I would love to do more with Critical Bits. I'll be here tomorrow talking with women about their experiences on tabletop RPGs, and also doing a fun improv game with Caleb, who's a really good friend, and I'm excited to see him again. But other than that, that is all of our time for today. Thank you guys so much for being here and donating. Keep donating for Make-A-Wish, Georgia, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Money. Pay us.